Hey everybody, so for today's movie review, I'm going to talk about the film Dallas Buyers Club. It's currently nominated for some Oscars, kind of like some of the previous films I've reviewed here not too long ago. Similar to those other films I reviewed not too long ago also. Dallas Buyers Club is also loosely based off a true story. And this film we follow hold on a second here, I want to pull something up. There we go. I had to pull something up there. We follow Woodruff, Ron Woodruff. We'll call him that for now. He's played by Matthew McConaughey. He is a electrician and a bull rider in Dallas, Texas, and he is very much a alcoholic. He likes to sleep around with a lot of hookers, prostitutes. Does a lot of cocaine, and he keeps on. He has a series of fainting early on in the movie, like he's always fainting from something, and he finds out through a doctor when he wakes up in a hospital bed that he tested positive for HIV and that it was a form of AIDS that he was starting to develop within his body. And at first, Ron doesn't think that it's AIDS. He thinks maybe they got something wrong, maybe the test went wrong, or they got the wrong results and brought those to his attention. And so he really doesn't believe he has AIDS. He thinks he has something, but it's not quite what he thinks these doctors are trying to tell him. Jennifer Gardner plays one of these doctors in the movie. And basically, after a while, he does come to the conclusion that maybe it might be AIDS because he looks it up and does some research. And he does seem to have a lot of symptoms and a lot of things that he's currently going through that are similar to AIDS based off what the research has shown. And so he starts looking into medicines and he finds out that it's really expensive. There's a lot of things from the FDA that don't exactly work. And so he needs something strong, powerful, and guaranteed to work. And unfortunately, that kind of medicine that he's looking for is very hard to find. It's not sold in the US. So he hears about a medicine stash in Mexico where you go there and you can pick some up there. And the thing is, it's not approved by the FDA. So basically, anybody who works for the FDA or works for stuff like works for a hospital or for a pharmacy that sells things from the FDA, obviously they're not going to talk about it. And so he goes down there, gets a huge stash of it. He comes back to the US, and since it is illegal to sell that kind of medicine, what he does is he starts with something called the Dallas Buyers Club, and basically people would pay him a membership so he would get money for it, and basically this people who supplied him with the medicine could get paid for it as well. And people would pay for a membership and then they would come back anytime they wanted. His business would be open 24 hours a day, since it was kind of like this small little hotel looking area that he had his business at. And he would sell these special kind of drugs that would help fight HIV and AIDS and things of that nature. And so basically, this film kind of explores his rise and fall with this business, and that he develops, and kind of his struggle that he himself had with AIDS. The film also follows a character played by Jared Leto named Rayon. It's a transgendered male, a man trying to be a woman, and Rayon's going through AIDS as well, and so Rayon, played by Jared Leto, um, helps Ron Woodruff with this business. He slash she really wants this, people to get the right medicine, because this person also believes that the FDA doesn't quite selling the right things to fight off AIDS and things of that nature. And then after a while in the film, Jennifer Gardner hears about this business, so she starts to get involved with Ron's little small business as well. That obviously her employer, because she works for a hospital, really wouldn't approve, but she strongly believes it would work. So Dallas Buyers Club, you guys, I actually was pretty impressed with this movie. I thought, from what I know about the true story of this, it seems like even though there was a few things they probably pushed in the back burner simply because it would make as fun of a movie or as good of a movie. Overall, what they made here I thought was really impressive. It was technically well made, and it really showed just kind of how scary and tragic having AIDS can be. So I thought the film did a very good job with that. For the positives and negatives of this film, there was a buzzing sound danger cue throughout the movie. It's like whenever time Matthew McConaughey's character was in trouble of fainting, or something going on with the AIDS was going on to him. You'd hear like this buzzing sound, and it would get louder, louder, and louder, and that was kind of a sign that he was going to faint, or something bad was going to happen to him. And the way they worked it into the film, I thought was very, very effective. So very good job for whoever worked on that in the movie. The film also explores the intensity of AIDS and kind of how tragic and scary having AIDS can be. Once again, I think the film does a very good job really bringing to the center stage of just how scary and tragic having AIDS can be. Matthew McConaughey, Jennifer Garner, and Jared Leto give extraordinary performances in this. Definitely Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto for sure. They really blew it out of the park in this one. Jared Leto for sure. Like you can, I was almost in a way. I don't want to say laughing, but I was kind of giggling to myself for some scenes just because I recognize Jared Leto from Requiem for a Dream, and this is a very different role for him. I mean, I know that he's always playing the drug addict, and even in this one, he's shooting needles into his skin, and but as far as like really making you believe that this person was a different sex, tried to be of a different sex, and dressing differently, acting differently, and it just Jared Leto really perfected the role in this, and so I really hope he wins an Oscar award if he gets nominated. I'm pretty sure he was nominated. I'm not sure though. Matthew McConaughey too. I think he lost a ton of weight for this movie. He really perfected the role. You really got the impression that he was really scared out of his mind about him having AIDS, and when this doctor told him that he had very little time to live because of the AIDS. Throughout the rest of the movie, he was very much freaking out about it, doing really wild and crazy things as if it were his last day on Earth, that kind of thing. And then Jennifer Garner too. I was really impressed with her performance. Very, in control of herself. Very, wouldn't let people push her around, and I really liked the way she approached her character as well. I think the film has a very good point about the FDA. It just kind of shows just how edgy the FDA can be. As far as like having these really powerful drugs out in the world, and they don't really want to sell it, and have a bad reputation, and it just the film has a lot to say about the FDA, both kind of how it's a good and a bad business. So I really like how the film kind of emphasized both sides of the trade when it comes to that business. I also like that the film shows the highs and lows of these characters' lives. When this character Ron Woodruff was starting up this Dallas Buyers Club, it really kind of brought his life around because before we saw him form that club, his life really wasn't going anywhere. He was always drinking, always having sex with hookers, and having unprotected sex and doing a lot of drugs, and really didn't see him at work too often in the film either. Um, so the film did a really good job, really showing that this guy really didn't have a lot going for him. And when he did have something going for him, it definitely showed, just how more busy and productive of a person he was trying to be, specifically when he got all these drugs to sell to his Dallas Buyers Club members. For the negatives of this film, I do think overall Matthew McConaughey's character did feel a little inconsistent. It's not a huge complaint I had, but like near the end of the film, there was just a lot of points where I almost felt like I was watching a different character. Like I said, I know they were trying to develop the character, make really try to show that he was changing his life around and things of that nature. But it started to get to the point where I felt like I was watching a completely different character because of this huge, massive change from what we saw earlier in the film. So I don't know if they could have done something a little bit more to really make it feel like we were watching the same character the whole time. Um, I know, like toward the very, very end of the film, and he basically had no control over the AIDS anymore. I definitely saw the first half of the film side of the character there, but when things started to change in his life and get better, that's when it really came hard to accept that we were watching the same character. I thought. And some important details I thought got left out of the film. So just some small things I noticed, like major details on how certain things work and were able to succeed and things of that nature. Some conflicts either get pushed away, or unresolved. Just a lot of things in the film, like him being audited by the IRS at one point, and him having to fight his way in court for selling these drugs that people, even though he he sold them through membership. He still got in trouble for that and things of that nature. Just I felt a lot of them either got pushed away or just went unresolved, and I don't know, it just kind of bothered me throughout the film while I was watching it. I also thought the ending of the film was very weirdly structured because whenever because a lot of film biopics tend to do this where they give you like a text explanation of kind of the events after the film and like what actually happened to the person once this event got done in their life, and it was weirdly structured because they shared some of the things about Mount Woodruff before the ending scene. The ending scene was a good 8 or 10 minutes long, and then after that was done, they showed the rest of the information, and it felt very weirdly structured to me. I almost felt like they should have put all the text together like a traditional biopic film. So why they separated that felt a little weird to me. I felt like I was watching the ending earlier, and then it went on for a little bit longer, and then it was the actual ending. So I thought that was kind of a weird way to structure the ending. But overall, guys, I do give Dallas Buyers Club an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a terrific film. Like I said, I think it really explores the intensity behind AIDS and kind of how tragic and scary it is. I love all the buzzing sound, danger cues throughout the film. Some very terrific performances in this. Very good and bad, good depiction of how good and bad the FDA is. But like I said, just a few little things along the way, like how conflicts were handled and how the small details kind of were left out, and how the ending was a little bit weirdly structured. But overall, like I said, 8.5 out of 10 for me. I think it's a very good film, and I definitely think it's worth seeing. And for those who want to see, as many Oscar films as they want to before this next, Academy Award ceremony, I do think Dallas Buyers Club is worth seeing, specifically for that too, just because it's a very impressive film, and I think some of the acting performances are really good in this. So, if you get a chance, make sure to check out Dallas Buyers Club.